Hey guys, welcome back. I hope your 4th of July weekend treated you nicely and that you are enjoying the amazing summer sun, the warm weather, and that you are getting out and about and not spending too much time focusing just on your online English class, because that would really be a drag. But before we get to everything, just a reminder, we are now in that 2-week realm of the next major writing assignment, which is a group project. This video is going to be laying a lot on you this week and for the next couple weeks, so sit back, listen to it multiple times if you need to. Email me if you have questions. That is what I'm here for, but I will be laying out a lot of information, so make sure to either write it down, take notes, rewind this if you have to, but just make sure that you stay focused for what we're going to be talking about here. So week 6 is going from the 10th of July to the 16th. And we, like I said, are in that area where we're looking at the next major writing assignment or the major next project, which is a group project. A couple of things that you need to keep in mind regarding this group project. First and foremost is that you will have individual work to complete during the next 2 weeks, as well as along with, I should say, the group project. So make sure that you stay on top of that. I will be going over that momentarily. Also, each group member will have their own responsibilities in the group. What does that mean? Well, essentially, as I'm going to explain in a little bit, you guys will come together as a group, whether you want to do that in person, via email, through Google Chat, whatever you want to do. You just want to make sure that you find a place so that you can correspond with one another in regards to how you want this project to work out. If you want to designate a leader, that is something that the leader will do. The leader of the group will kind of keep everyone on task and sort of delegate different responsibilities for each group member. Also, each group member will have to complete 2-cited sources with summaries for the group annotated bibliography. I will be breaking down the annotated bibliography and what is expected from each group member. Keep in mind that if you stay on task and on top of the weekly assignments, along with keeping an open line of communication with your group members, these next 2 weeks should not be too strenuous. So it might be a little front heavy where you do have some work this week, but next week, depending on how things are going, you may just be working on the group project. So keep that in mind as well. So this week, on top of the group project, what do you have due? First and foremost, you have an argumentation quiz. Under the individual writing section, you will note that there is an argumentation quiz here. It's not available yet since I am recording this on Sunday. This will be available to you at midnight on Monday. However, the argumentation quiz, much like the previous quizzes, is divided into 3 sections. Let me break this down for you so you have an understanding of how this works. Essentially, in the first section, your goal is to pick a topic of choice that you can argue about. You guys were reading about argumentation last week for the homework response. Remember, the goal for an argument is to present both sides of a topic, but essentially you are still trying to either find a resolution or you are trying to convince your audience that your particular side is right. I've given you a set of topics you can choose from, or if you have a topic that you would like to write about, you may use this link, or you may provide the topic of your choice. I'm going to be asking for you to give me 2 introductions in part 1. What does that mean? Well, like with any topic, you can focus on a larger, more general sort of aspect of an argument, or you can condense it and look at something relatively specific. So in this case, say, for example, you decide to write about the All Lives Matter question. Does all lives matter hinder social progress? The introduction A, you might look at the larger discussion of all lives matter. You might talk about where it stemmed from, how it kind of came about, how it was a sort of branch of the Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, and then eventually the All Lives Matter movement. In introduction B, you are then to give me something more specific. You might look at a specific instance of All Lives Matter, or you might look at a specific instance of Black Lives Matter, maybe perhaps the Colin Kaepernick incident, and you might talk about that. So that is something more specific. So introduction A, just a brief background about the particular type of introduction, that's something that is more general. Introduction B, something much more specific. Then in part 2, you guys read about Toulmin and Rogerian in the reading from last week. A Toulmin essentially supports a particular side of an argument. So this is a biased thesis, meaning that the statement you make needs to represent one side, either your side of the argument that you are trying to convince someone of. A Rogerian argument establishes a solution that provides a compromise to the discussion. So in the Rogerian section, your job is to give me a claim that will look to find a solution. So when you go back to your first original argument, you give me your introductions, then you give me a brief sentence or two that would be either a biased argument or the Rogerian, which is the solution to the argument. I would need both types of theses, so make sure you give me both. And then lastly, in part 3, your job is to give me 2 different sources. One source that supports your particular discussion or argument, and then one source that challenges it. Remember that when we are arguing, our goal is to provide some sort of comprehensive insight into the argument as a whole. Depending on the type of argument you are providing, if you are providing a Toulmin argument, a biased argument, you still need to present the opponent's point of view, but you might not present the entire picture. So you might give me 80% your argument and then only 20% of what your opponent is saying. However, if you're looking at a Rogerian argument, that is an equal split. Since you are trying to find a resolution to a problem, you and your opponent might have 50-50 say in what the particular argument is about. So remember, each section has its own particular standards. Make sure that you complete each section thoroughly. Make sure to provide a summary and a link to your source. People had points taken off on the last quiz because they either didn't summarize or they did not provide a link to what it is they were talking about. So make sure to include both of those. Next, you guys have a discussion board homework response titled Cartoons and Stereotypes. Under the discussion board, as you did last week, you have a new assignment, a reading in your textbook from pages 517 to 521. It's short, it's mostly pictures, and essentially you will be responding to question 2 in that particular response and reading. So page 521 for that. If you have questions, as always, you can email me. Now, to this sort of meat and potatoes of what we are going to be looking at. The group project, which will be due 2 Sundays, so not this Sunday coming up, which is the 16th, but the following Sunday, the 23rd, the completed group project is due. For this group project, you will need to work together to create a group project that addresses the argument topic your group agreed on. So by the end of this week, I'm going to ask you guys to do the following for me. I will need you to first identify what your argument topic is, and I will also need you to let me know who the group leader is. I will expand on both of those in a moment. You can create a Prezi, a PowerPoint, a video or audio essay, a podcast, or something else entirely. Excuse me. Ultimately, for this project, I'm asking you and your group to go and provide and develop and produce something that is beyond an essay. So you guys will have an opportunity to present a rhetorical argument that goes beyond the limitations of what an essay can do. Additionally, your group will have to also submit a group annotated bibliography where each group member will have to provide at least 2 properly cited sources with summaries. Why are we doing this now? Because the final proposal project, the final major writing assignment for this class, is going to ask each of you to write an individual annotated bibliography of 5 sources. However, you guys can get some practice in the group setting where you will only have to give me 2 properly cited sources with summaries. Again, I will elaborate on that in a moment. The group project information can be found under the group project section on Blackboard. This will be made available to you at midnight tonight, or I should say midnight Monday. It will be made available to you. There you will find information regarding the group assignment, the annotated bibliography, project examples, and the writing to convince section, which you may use for assistance for the quiz and project, just like you had reference points with the writing to analyze and writing to evaluate sections. Note the following thing I'm about to say. keep in mind that the group project is worth 150 points and the annotated bibliography is worth 50 points. Now, something that you guys might be thinking about as you go into a group project, you might be nervous that there's going to be one person who's doing more of the work. You might be nervous that that you are not going to, or you are going to get slighted because of someone's lethargy or apathy towards the project. Well, this is where the group work from earlier in the year is going to be reflective of this. So for the annotated bibliography, since each person is required to provide 2 sources, if you do not provide your sources or if your sources are lacking, you will get points taken off, but it will not hinder the rest of the group. So meaning that the group in themselves can still receive 50 out of 50, but individuals can still get points taken off if they do not meet the criteria for the annotated bibliography. The other